My mom called me a worthless burden at Thanksgiving, so I left with $0 and built a $50 million company she now begs to work for. Before we dive deeper, may I ask a small favor? Kindly subscribe and also share where you're watching from in the comments. It makes our community feel closer. Thanksgiving 2019. That's when my mother, Patricia Coleman, destroyed what was left of our relationship with 7 words I'll never forget. I was 23, sitting at our crowded dining table in Detroit, surrounded by my younger brother Kenneth, my Aunt Cheryl, and my mother's boyfriend, Roland, a man who'd moved into our house 6 months prior and treated it like his personal kingdom. The turkey was dry, the tension thicker. I just mentioned my business idea, a digital platform connecting Black-owned businesses with consumers actively seeking to support them. "Kira, baby, when you gonna stop with these fantasies?" Mama said, her voice dripping with that special condescension she reserved just for me. Roland snorted into his wine glass. Kenneth wouldn't even look at me. "You've been talking about this entrepreneur nonsense for 2 years now. You work at Target, sweetheart. That's your reality." My throat tightened, but I pressed on. "Mama, I've been saving every dollar. I've got $1,200 in my account, and I've been teaching myself coding at night. I've already built a prototype." "With what money?" Roland interrupted, leaning back in his chair like he owned the place. Which, according to Mama's recent announcement, he practically did now. "Your mama's been carrying you since you graduated. Rent-free living at 23? That's embarrassing." The room went silent except for the football game playing in the background. Aunt Cheryl shifted uncomfortably. I looked at Mama, waiting for her to defend me like mothers are supposed to do. Instead, she sighed that heavy, disappointed sigh I'd heard my entire life. "Roland's right, Kira. You're a worthless burden." Those words hung in the air like poison gas. My fork clattered against my plate. "What did you just say?" Mama didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. "You heard me. You've been dead weight since you came back from that community college with your little certificate. 2 years, Kira. 2 years of you taking up space, eating my food, using my electricity for your little computer games. They're not games, I don't care what they are." Her voice rose sharp enough to cut. "I'm 52 years old, and I'm tired. Roland and I are planning a future, and that future doesn't include a grown woman playing pretend businesswoman in my spare bedroom." Kenneth finally spoke, his voice quiet. "Mama, that's harsh. Kira's been helping with bills. $200 a month." Roland laughed, actually laughed. "That doesn't even cover the groceries she eats. Your sister's a drain, Kenneth. The sooner she realizes she's not special, the better." I turned to Aunt Cheryl, my mother's younger sister, the one who used to sneak me books about entrepreneurs when I was young. She wouldn't meet my eyes. The betrayal cut deeper than Mama's words. "So what are you saying exactly?" Mama folded her hands on the table, the same hands that used to braid my hair before she decided I was competition instead of her daughter. "I'm saying you have until January 1st. That's 5 weeks. Find somewhere else to live. Roland's moving into your room. We're converting it into a home office. You're kicking me out. Before Christmas. I'm giving you a reality check," she said coldly. I left that table and went straight to my room, soon to be Roland's office. My hands shook as I pulled my laptop from under my bed, the 5-year-old Dell I'd bought refurbished from a pawn shop. On the screen was my prototype, Black Circle, a platform I'd coded pixel by pixel, learning from free YouTube tutorials at 3 in the morning when insomnia and ambition kept me wired. 350 hours of work. 12 business owners already interested in beta testing. Everything I'd dreamed about since high school when Mrs. Patterson told me I had the mind of an entrepreneur but not the pedigree. My phone buzzed. A text from Kenneth, "I'm sorry. You know how she gets with her boyfriends. Just apologize and this'll blow over. But it wouldn't blow over. This wasn't about Roland. This was about a pattern 23 years in the making. When I made honor roll, Mama said I was showing off. When I got into Michigan State, she convinced me community college was more practical and made me feel guilty about the cost. When I won a coding scholarship, she asked if I thought I was better than everyone else now. Every achievement became ammunition for her resentment. I opened my banking app, $1,247.63. Everything I had. I'd been saving for business incorporation fees, a decent computer, maybe a small marketing budget. Now it had to become my survival fund. The door opened without knocking. Mama stood there, arms crossed. You sitting up here feeling sorry for yourself? I'm packing. Her eyebrows rose. It's not January yet. I'm not staying somewhere I'm called worthless. My voice cracked but held. I'm leaving tonight. Tonight? And go where, exactly? I don't know yet, but anywhere's better than here. I yanked my old duffel bag from the closet, the same one I'd used for overnight trips that stopped happening when Mama decided vacations were wastes of money, except when she went to Miami with Roland last month. I started throwing clothes inside, not folding, not caring. Jeans. Sweaters. The professional blouses I'd bought from Goodwill for job interviews. You're being dramatic, Mama said, but something flickered across her face. Not regret, Mama didn't do regret. Calculation, maybe. I gave you 5 weeks. You're really gonna throw that back in my face? You called me a worthless burden at Thanksgiving dinner in front of everyone. I shoved my laptop and charger into my backpack. You let your boyfriend disrespect me in the house I grew up in. What exactly am I supposed to stay for? Family, Kira. You stay for family. The audacity made me laugh, sharp and bitter. Family. You haven't treated me like family since Daddy died. There, I'd said it. The thing we never talked about. How everything changed after his heart attack when I was 14. How Mama looked at me differently after the funeral, like I reminded her of everything she'd lost. How Kenneth became the golden child and I became the problem. She flinched. Good. Don't you dare bring your father into this. Why not? He's the reason, isn't he? I zipped the duffel. I look like him. I think like him. I dream like him. And you can't stand it because he's gone and I'm still here. The slap came fast. My cheek burned, but I didn't touch it. Didn't give her the satisfaction. We stood there, breathing hard, years of unspoken resentment crackling between us like a live wire. Aunt Cheryl appeared in the doorway, face pale. Patricia, what the hell? Stay out of this, Cheryl. Mama's hand trembled at her side. She'd never hit me before. Yelled, criticized, emotionally eviscerated, that was her specialty. But never physical. We'd crossed a line we couldn't uncross. I'm done, I said quietly. I'm completely done. I grabbed my bags and pushed past both of them. Kenneth stood in the hallway, eyes wide. Kira, wait. You knew, didn't you? I stopped. You knew she was planning to kick me out. That's why you've been weird all week. His silence was confirmation enough. Another betrayal to add to the pile. I descended the stairs I'd climbed 10,000 times, each step feeling like walking away from a life that never really fit. Roland sat in the living room, watching me with a smirk that said he'd won. In his mind, he probably had. He'd successfully removed the obstacle to his comfortable new life. Where you gonna go with $1,200? He called out. You'll be back by New Year's, begging. I stopped at the door, my hand on the knob. Turned. Looked him dead in the eye. I'd rather sleep in my car than beg anything from either of you. And one day, when I make it, and I will make it, you're gonna remember this moment. You're gonna remember how you treated me. And you're gonna wish you hadn't." Tough words from someone about to be homeless, he laughed. I left. It was 48 degrees outside, Detroit November cold settling into my bones. My car, a 2008 Honda Civic with a cracked windshield and 187,000 miles, became my bedroom. I drove to a 24-hour Walmart parking lot, the one off 8 Mile where they didn't hassle overnight parkers. Sat there in the dark, my breath fogging the windows, reality crashing down like a physical weight. I had $1,247.63. No job. I'd quit Target 2 weeks earlier to focus on my platform launch. No place to live. No family to call. My phone buzzed with texts. "Aunt Cheryl, baby, I'm so sorry. I can send you $200, but I can't let you stay here. You know Patricia would never forgive me. Kenneth, you really leaving? This is crazy. Just apologize." And then, most surprising, from Mama, "You'll be back. You always need something." I blocked all 3 numbers. That night, I didn't sleep. I opened my laptop, draining my car battery, and worked on Black Circle. If this was rock bottom, if this was what having nothing felt like, then I had nothing left to lose. Fear became fuel. Every line of code I wrote felt like a middle finger to everyone who'd counted me out. By sunrise, I'd completed the payment integration I'd been struggling with for weeks. Exhaustion and rage make a potent combination. I cleaned up in the Walmart bathroom at 6 a.m., brushing my teeth and changing into clean clothes from my duffel. My reflection looked hollow-eyed but determined. "You got this," I told the girl in the mirror. She didn't look convinced, but she nodded back anyway. I needed money, fast. I drove to the coffee shop where I'd occasionally worked on Black Circle, a black-owned spot called Nectar and Bean. The owner, Mrs. Lorraine Jackson, was a 72-year-old force of nature who'd opened Nectar and Bean in 1998 after retiring from Ford Motor Company. She looked up from the register when I walked in, her reading glasses perched on her nose. "Kira Coleman. You're here early. The usual caramel latte." "Actually, Mrs. Jackson, I need to ask you something." My pride wrestled with my desperation. Desperation 1. "Are you hiring? Any position? I can work any hours." She studied me with the kind of perception that comes from 7 decades of reading people. What happened? Something about her directness broke through my carefully constructed composure. I told her everything. The Thanksgiving dinner, the ultimatum, leaving with nothing, sleeping in my car. She listened without interrupting, her expression darkening with each detail. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I'm not hiring." My heart sank. "Okay. Thank you anyway. But," she continued, "I am looking for someone to manage my social media and build me a real online presence. My granddaughter keeps telling me I need to get with the times. You know anything about that?" "Yes," I said quickly. "Yes, I can do that. And I've got an efficiency apartment above the shop. Previous tenant moved out last month. It's small, maybe 400 square feet, but it's warm and private. Need some work, the bathroom sink leaks, walls need painting. You fix it up, you can stay there. No rent for the first 3 months while you get on your feet. After that, we'll call it $300 a month. I'll pay you $15 an hour for 20 hours a week managing my digital presence. Deal?" I nearly cried. "Why would you do this for me?" "Because 30 years ago, I was you," Mrs. Jackson said simply. The efficiency apartment was rough. Water-stained ceiling, peeling linoleum, a kitchenette with 2 working burners out of 4. The bathroom sink didn't just leak, it had a steady drip that made a maddening rhythm against the rust-stained porcelain. But it had a door that locked, a roof that didn't leak, and most importantly, it was mine. No one could call me a burden here. I spent my first week in survival mode. Worked 20 hours for Mrs. Jackson during the day, revamping Nectar and Bean's Instagram, creating a Facebook business page, designing promotional graphics using free Canva templates. The rest of my time went to Black Circle and fixing up the apartment. I painted the walls with discounted paint from Home Depot, $23 for a gallon of warm gray. Fixed the sink with a YouTube tutorial and $8 worth of hardware. Scoured thrift stores for furniture, a desk for $15, a desk lamp for $6, a worn armchair for $20. By December, my routine was brutal: wake at 5 a.m., code until 7:30 a.m., shower, work at Nectar and Bean from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., code again until 7 p.m., eat something cheap, ramen, rice and beans, whatever was on sale, then code until I passed out. Sleep 4 to 5 hours. Repeat. I reached out to the 12 business owners who'd expressed interest in Black Circle. 9 responded. "We're still interested, but we need to see a fully functioning platform," said Mr. Deshaun Morris, who owned a chain of barbershops. "When can you launch?" "January 15th, I promised, pulling a deadline from thin air. That gave me 6 weeks. 6 weeks to build something professional enough to charge money for. The pressure should have crushed me. Instead, it crystallized my focus into something laser-sharp. But I needed help. I couldn't do this alone, not at the scale I envisioned. I posted in online coding forums, Black entrepreneur groups, university Discord servers. Looking for a technical co-founder. Can't pay yet, but offering 20% equity in a platform that's going to revolutionize how people support Black-owned businesses. Most responses were skeptical or outright dismissive. Then I got a message from Jamal Wright, a 26-year-old software engineer from Chicago who'd been laid off from a tech startup 3 months earlier. "I've got experience in full-stack development, payment systems, and scalable architecture," his message read. "I'm interested, but I need to see what you've built so far. And I want 25%, not 20. We video called that night. Jamal was direct, intense, the kind of person who interrupted with better ideas before you finished explaining your mediocre ones. He reviewed my code with a critical eye that made me nervous. "Your front-end work is solid," he said finally. "Your back-end architecture needs serious work. You're gonna have scaling issues by the time you hit 1,000 users. But the concept is fire. So you're in. 25% equity. And I need to know your story. Why this platform? Why now? Because I've had 5 equity offers this month, and I need to know you're not gonna quit when it gets hard." I told him about Thanksgiving. About sleeping in my car. About coding in Walmart parking lots and the promise I'd made to myself to prove everyone wrong. When I finished, Jamal was quiet. "Then, 25%. I'm in. Let's build something that matters." Next came Simone Peterson, a 24-year-old marketing genius I'd met in a Facebook group for Black women entrepreneurs. Simone had been running social media for small businesses since she was 19, turning Instagram pages with 200 followers into accounts with 50,000 through sheer strategic brilliance and relentless consistency. She was based in Atlanta, spoke a mile a minute, and had a laugh that could light up a room even through a video call. "Okay, so here's the thing," she said during our second conversation. "I love this idea. Love it. But you're not positioning it right. You're thinking too small." "What do you mean?" "You're marketing this as a directory. A way to find Black-owned businesses. That's fine, but it's not revolutionary. What you're actually building is a movement. You're building a platform that turns allyship into action, that quantifies community support, that makes it easy for people to put their money where their mouth is. That's the story. That's what goes viral. She was right. I knew she was right. I can't pay you either. Not yet. 15% equity. And I want creative control over all marketing decisions. Done. By January 10, 2020, we had a functioning platform. Not perfect, there were bugs, the user interface could be smoother, the payment processing occasionally lagged, but it worked. It was real. Jamal had rebuilt the entire back-end architecture. Simone had created a marketing strategy that made my amateur attempts look like children's drawings. I'd poured every dollar I had left, $347.82, into hosting fees and domain registration. January 15th, launch day. We'd convinced 37 Black-owned businesses to create profiles. We'd built an email list of 400 people through grassroots outreach. Simone had scheduled posts across every social media platform. At midnight, we went live. By 8 a.m., we had 52 user signups. By noon, 218. By 5 p.m., we'd crashed. What happened? I panicked on our group call. We're being hugged to death, Jamal said, somehow managing to sound stressed and thrilled simultaneously. Jamal worked for 18 straight hours to get our servers stable. By the time we were back online, we had 1,847 people trying to access Black Circle, and our social media mentions had exploded. Simone's marketing genius had paid off. She'd targeted the platform toward people who'd participated in the protests and conversations around supporting Black businesses but didn't know where to start. We made it easy. We made it accessible. We made it matter. 1 month after launch, we had 12,000 users and 340 business profiles. 2 months in, those numbers jumped to 47,000 users and 890 businesses. By April 2020, when the pandemic shut down the world and everything went virtual, Black Circle became essential. We weren't just a platform anymore, we were a lifeline for Black-owned businesses struggling to survive. Restaurants pivoting to delivery, bookstores selling online, barbershops offering appointment-only services, they all needed visibility, and we provided it. We implemented a premium tier for businesses, $49 monthly for enhanced profiles, analytics, and promotional features. By May, 600 businesses had upgraded. That's $29,400 in monthly recurring revenue. Actual money. The kind that paid bills and proved everyone wrong. Venture capitalists started reaching out. We took meetings with 12 firms. Most wanted us to expand our demographic, which was code for stop focusing on Black businesses. We declined. Then we met Diana Chen from Catalyst Ventures, a VC firm focused on mission-driven companies. Don't change what makes you special, she said. Scale it. Double down on it. Make it so successful that copycats can't compete with your community and authenticity. In August 2020, Catalyst invested $2.3 million at a $12 million valuation. I owned 40% after dividing equity with Jamal, Simone, and an employee option pool. On paper, I was worth $4.8 million. In reality, I was still living in my efficiency apartment, working 100-hour weeks. December 2023. 3.5 years after launching. Black Circle had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. We had 2.7 million users, 47,000 business profiles across all 50 states, and annual revenue of $67 million. We'd raised 2 more funding rounds. We'd been featured in Forbes, TechCrunch, Fast Company. Incorporated magazine had named me one of their 30 under 30 entrepreneurs. The company valuation had reached $380 million, and I'd maintained my 40% ownership through savvy negotiation and refusing to be diluted. On paper, I was worth $152 million. I'd moved into a real apartment, a loft in downtown Detroit with exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. I drove a Tesla. I had a team of 63 employees. I'd paid off every cent of debt I'd accumulated during those early months. And I still hadn't spoken to my mother. Then my phone rang. Unknown Detroit number. I almost didn't answer. Kira. It's Aunt Cheryl. 4 years of silence, and now this. What do you want? Your mama's been trying to reach you. She's been calling from different numbers because you blocked her. Kira, she needs help. With what? Roland left her 6 months ago. Cleaned out her bank account. She lost the house. She's staying with me now, but things are tight and she's struggling. She saw you on the news, baby. That Forbes article. She wants to apologize. The laugh that escaped me was hollow. Now she wants to apologize. After 4 years. When she needs something. She's still your mother. Is she? Because mothers don't call their daughters worthless burdens. They don't choose men over their children. They don't. I stopped. The anger felt like swallowing glass. I'm not interested in her apologies. She's asked about working for your company, Aunt Cheryl said quietly. She thinks with her retail management experience. Absolutely not. Kira, please. She's desperate. So was I. She didn't care then. I hung up. But Mama didn't give up. She sent emails. Left voicemails. Eventually, she showed up at Black Circle's office, a 12,000 square foot space in Midtown Detroit with modern furniture, collaborative workspaces, and a wall showcasing every business owner who'd found success through our platform. Security called me. There's a Patricia Coleman here to see you. Says she's your mother. I should have said no. Should have had security escort her out. But curiosity, and maybe something else I didn't want to name, made me agree to 5 minutes. She looked older. Tired. The designer clothes she used to favor had been replaced with Target basics. Her hair, always immaculate, needed a touch-up. 4 years had not been kind to her. Kira, she breathed. Look at this place. Look at what you've built. I'm so. Don't. My voice was ice. Don't you dare say you're proud. You don't get to be proud of something you tried to destroy. I was wrong. I was so wrong about everything. I let Roland poison me against you. I was bitter about your father, about my life, and I took it out on you when you were just trying to live your dreams. Please. I'm asking for forgiveness. And maybe a job. I saw you're hiring for a retail partnership coordinator. You're asking me for a job. The audacity stole my breath. You called me a worthless burden. You chose a man who stole from you over your own daughter. You let me leave with nothing. And now, because your life fell apart and mine didn't, you want me to save you? Tears rolled down her face. Real ones, I think. I know I don't deserve anything from you. But I'm your mother, Kira. That has to count for something. I stood. Looked her in the eyes. You're right. It should count for something. That's why this hurts. No, Mama. I won't hire you. I won't send money. I won't rebuild a relationship you spent 23 years destroying. You taught me I was a burden. So I'm relieving you of that burden permanently. I walked her to the elevator. Pressed the button. But I'll tell you something. Every success, every milestone, every Forbes article and funding round, it all happened because you made me believe I had nothing to lose. You gave me the fuel I needed by being exactly who you were. So in a twisted way, thank you. The elevator doors closed on her devastated face. I returned to my office, sat at my desk, and got back to work. Building. Growing. Proving every single day that I was never the burden she claimed I was. Outside my window, Detroit stretched out before me, the city where I'd lost everything and built something extraordinary from the ashes. My phone buzzed with a notification. Black Circle had just secured a partnership with a major retail chain. We'd be integrated into their point-of-sale systems nationwide. Another win. Another step forward. And this time, I'd done it completely on my own terms. The girl who left with $1,247 and a dream had become the woman who built a $380 million company from nothing but code, determination, and the unshakable belief that she was worth everything her mother said she wasn't. Some families are born. Some are chosen. Mine was built from the ground up, one employee, one user, one supported business at a time. And that family would never call me a burden.